Hi, my name's David Bose. I'm the Communications Director for Washington Policy Center, and this is Washington Policy on the Go. Every week during the legislative session, we talk with our research center directors about what's happening in Olympia, the latest proposals, any state policy moves, and once in a while we bring forward a guest who is not with Washington Policy Center, but to do the same thing, to keep you updated on the news you need to know about what's happening in Olympia the best we can. Now, of course, you're always welcome to do so at washingtonpolicy.org, where we have our blog updated daily from our center directors with the latest information as well. We also clip videos of our center directors to make sure that you can stay updated on the go all the time at washingtonpolicy.org, or look for the Washington Policy Center's YouTube channel, and you can get to all of that through our home webpage. Well, today we've got two center directors with us. We're going to start with Charles Prestrud. He is our Cole Center for Transportation Director, and he wanted to join us just briefly to talk about what's happening with. We've talked a lot about the problems that our state is having with upkeep of roads and highways, the major deficit that the State Department of Transportation says they have in terms of getting enough funding to provide for maintenance of what we currently have, and once again, a new proposal is afoot for the road usage charge, the RUC tax. So tell us about the latest bill and what it looks like and what's happening.
Thank you, David. You're right. The legislature has not, at least so far, come up with a way to handle the shortfall in basic preservation and maintenance, which they estimated about $1 billion a year to bring our highways up to a state of good repair. What they have done is introduce a bill, and this is House Bill 1921, that would institute a road user charge, which is a tax on each mile that you drive on any public road or highway. The rate in the bill is 2.6 cents per mile, which doesn't sound like much unless you drive a lot. And the idea is that this would substitute for the gas tax and the $225 per year annual fee that is charged to owners of electric vehicles. But there are devils in the detail, as usual. It would be phased in, at least under the proposal, with electric and hybrid vehicles starting in 2027. And then in 2029, it would apply to all internal combustion engine vehicles that get more than 20 miles per gallon, which these days is just about all of them, unless you have a big truck. The proposal provides several ways to report annual mileage, including an annual odometer reading. It leaves open the possibility of GPS units or other ways of automated reporting. Those do raise some privacy issues. And the thing, though, that is unpopular with certain groups is that instead of just a one-to-one substitute for the gas tax, this would allow the funds to be used for other things. Under the state constitution, the gas tax is limited to highway purposes, and that was done very intentionally to prevent those revenues that are paid by users of the state highway system from getting siphoned off and used for all other kinds of state programs and purposes. But under this road user charge proposal, there would be an additional 10% assessment on the road user charge that would be available for all kinds of other things, including transit, bikes, pedestrian improvements, and other transportation things, rails and so on, that are not highway purposes and are not eligible for gas tax revenue. So this is another way of kind of circumventing the state constitution and diverting revenues that are collected from motorists and putting it to other purposes.
Does that mean the 10% surcharge would be paid by the user? Let's say I owned a vehicle and I had a certain bill come in, say it was $200, I'd have to pay an extra 10% at the end.
Yes.
Specifically for bike paths and whatever else they came up with.
Whatever the state wanted to spend it on, pretty much.
Would it be limited to transportation, broadly speaking?
Yes, I believe that's the way the bill is currently worded.
Well, of course, currently worded is the key. Those things can change at any time.
Yes.
So this is one of those things here that, I mean, maybe in the current legislative makeup, it's not a deal killer because there's a lot of strange things happening in Olympia right now, but this is precisely the kind of thing that makes the RUC tax highly unpopular. I mean, with the privacy concerns already pretty high among people. And then you add to this idea, 10% is no small fee. I mean, that's a whopper for a system that says that they're behind by, what is it, $1.3 billion per year just to maintain the system that we currently have, to then strip away, to say, well, we're going to charge 10% more of revenue, but we're not even going to use it for this to catch up for the maintenance of what we have. That's a pretty audacious move to me.
Well, and it leaves unanswered the question of how the state is going to take care of that $1 billion a year shortfall, because the revenues that this proposal would collect that go to the Department of Transportation are really kind of a substitute for existing revenues. So they still have that $1 billion a year shortfall. And that may end up being what torpedoes the bill. We'll see what happens when it works its way through the legislature.
Could the Climate Commitment Act solve this road deficit problem?
It couldn't solve all of it, but it could solve a lot of it. And as we've talked about before, the Climate Commitment Act revenue, it's a huge amount, more than $1 billion a year, I believe. And unfortunately, the way the legislature wrote the law, it precludes the use of that carbon emissions revenue, which is collected mostly from people who drive, from using it for highway purposes. So the state highway system continues to fall into disrepair. Meanwhile, the state's raking in more money that it's using for other things.
We're going to have to do regular updates on the ruck tax with you. We'll call it what the ruck, and what's going on, and find out.
Before I step away,
Yeah.
I just want to let our viewers know that the legislature will be holding a public hearing this Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. You can go to the legislature website. It's bill number 1921.
Let's make sure that we have that on our website. And 1921, I think that's House Bill 1921. Yes. And then we'll make sure that we make it so that people can sign on, and that you don't have to testify if you sign on. You can actually sign on and then say you're pro or con and just leave it at that. Or you can put written comments into the testimony. You can do any of that. Yep. And I take it you're going to do a short blog on this, and we'll connect that to the blog.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Charles. Appreciate it. Yeah.